Greetings. I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of depth. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. Why is this my year of depth? That is a question that we are going to be exploring through a new series called Deeper Gratitude. I believe that our most important work happens when we go deep on what matters most to us. Instead of trying to go wide and only go shallow, instead picking a few things to go deep on. There is where we can find our greatest contribution, our greatest impact, but also our most fulfilling work. So throughout the rest of 2021, throughout the rest of my year of depth, this series is going to bring to you different guests, different people I admire, I love, and that I want you to connect with and learn, first of all, where are they going deep in their life? Then they're going to share with you where they'd like to see you go deep. And lastly, what fuels that deep work they're doing through their gratitude. Now, like I said, we're going to use this intro for each one. So if you're hearing this and thinking, I heard this episode last week, don't worry. Same intro, different guests. Now, all of these episodes were recorded through June through July 2021. The year is always unpredictable. And so I say the date of when this was recorded so you have context, just in case if I release this in October or something like that. It lets you know we didn't know what was going to happen in October. Although I'm releasing this in October or November, all of these were released in the context of June and July 2021. Okay, that's enough for me. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Welcome to our next guest. Coming to you live in this moment is Sumiyah Mshaka. What's going on, Sumiyah?
Hey, Tom. Assalamu alaikum. Good to see you.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Sumiyah has been with us for 2 episodes, so we're glad to have you back. You're becoming one of our most frequent guests, which, we're going to try to continue that pattern because it's always great having you. So I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I'm actually shocked and amazed that you keep asking me back.
You're great. And the people, I give the people what they want whenever you're on. Yes, thank you. So, and as we mentioned, we are going to say the date of each of these recordings. And this one is June 16th. That's what's going on today. So we've been able to give the full bio to folks before, but we'd like to hear you describe yourself in 6 words.
Ooh, it's difficult. Social worker, business owner, Black Muslim.
That was extremely well done.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I wasn't sure if we were going to count each of those as one word. I was like, okay, we're going to go with 6 phrases. I was going to let it slide, but no, you closed it out right at 6. Social worker, business owner, Black Muslim. We got the new IG profile right there. So in your life, what are you going deep on in your life?
Like today, in this moment.
It's up to you. How are you experiencing it? It could be this moment, this year, this season of your life. You could answer for each of those. It's up to you.
I think one thing that's really important for me is being self-aware. And that's been a journey. And I think it's a journey that started for me probably when I started my graduate education in social work. I always tell people it's such a transformative education. And if you come out of an MSW program, Master's in Social Work program, the same person you were when you went in, you didn't do it right, So I would say that my self-awareness journey began there. And I've continued it throughout my life with therapy, at times, especially around loss and grief. And just really, I really want to be as authentic as possible in my relationships whether it's my work relationships, my business relationships, my family relationships. And being self-aware, like I know certain things about myself, right? I know I'm sensitive. I know I can like give too much and then, like not feel good when that's not reciprocated to me. So, just trying to live authentically, but also live in a way that's not going to bring me more pain, because there's so much pain out in the world. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I have a feeling a lot of people are resonating with that. What for you was the reason for selecting that on that's what you're going deeper on? What is, because it sounds like it's been a theme, something you've been working on, maybe even before graduate school, but especially from your MSW program. What for you right now is feeling like this is where I'm going deeper? What is that looking like?
Well, the pandemic has just been so difficult in a lot of ways. And I really had to sit with myself, and I was laid off from my part-time job teaching at 24 Hour Fitness, where I had been for 7 years. And I was just like numb for 3 days when that happened. And then I had to say, okay, well, is that it? Does that mean you're never going to teach fitness again? Like, what are you going to do? And so I ended up doing things that scared me, things that I had never thought about doing. Started teaching virtually on YouTube, took a virtual live teaching job, and that kind of not escalated. That's the word I want to use. Cascaded. I don't know. It led to me starting my own business, which was just like mind blowing, because if you had said to me a year ago, Sumiyah, like, have you ever thought about having your own business? Have you ever thought about teaching virtually? I'd have been like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. But God just, kept putting things in front of me and challenging me and saying, do you believe in yourself enough to take this next step? And I just kept taking those next steps.
It sounds like this year made you go a little bit deeper into adversity, challenge, maybe even pain.
Yeah, definitely. There were definitely some hard moments. I have pretty bad asthma. And so I really did take all the isolation stuff really seriously. I didn't, visit my family. I had my 40th birthday in a pandemic. And I wanted to, travel for that. I stayed home and did a birthday Zoom. I didn't see my family for my birthday, for Thanksgiving, Christmas. I have a lot of Christian family. I didn't do any of that. And it was really lonely. It was really lonely. And, I saw other people making different decisions and feeling like I can't afford to make that decision, and feeling sad and lonely because of it. So I tried to channel my energy into other things.
How would you say your relationship with adversity, with challenge, has grown from this experience?
Just like the past year?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. A lot of people say to me, Sumiyah, oh, you're smart, you're so strong, you're so strong. And I think as a Black woman, like I don't have a great relationship with the word strong, because I feel like it's used really negatively towards Black women in a lot of ways. You're so strong, you don't feel pain. You're so strong, anybody can treat you any kind of way and it doesn't matter, that kind of thing. So I don't like to describe myself as strong, but resilient. I'm resilient. And I worked on building that resiliency with my therapist, and then, on my own as well. I think every good therapist, as I am, should have their own therapist. Everybody needs therapy. Do it today.
Agreed. I just got hooked up with a new therapist and mind blown.
Oh, really?
Mind blown.
That's good, Tom, because I feel like somebody would really have to be on their A game to be your therapist because you've already done so much work on your own.
It's allowed us to go deep quick. It's like, okay, no, that's cool. I got the breathing techniques. I got that. And just just if I can share triggers that you would come up regularly during the week. I've experienced the trigger and just been like, wow, normally that would have just kind of like ruined my afternoon. And now I'm just like, I'm good. So to really get to experience that, I find like I finally get now because, I've done therapy, but it's almost like to check off a box. But now to have done it and to be like, now I get why everybody's like, yeah. You know what I mean?
You really have to find the right person for you. It's hard to compare it to something else, but it's like when you want a certain kind of car and no other car will do. You just have to keep looking till you find that person that clicks for you.
Well, it's definitely a skill. Like being a therapist is not like everybody's the same and they all have the same tools. It's a skill. So you want to find somebody who's good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you or my mom.
I stick with the kids. Your mom too.
Yeah, she's been in the game for a while. So I'm curious. I put out a podcast episode about this a couple of ones ago, depending on when this comes out, about toxic positivity. Have you heard of this phrase?
Not really.
Okay, so toxic positivity is kind of like Instagram culture of like, good vibes only, or that, we shouldn't experience negative emotion, that like, if you're experiencing negative emotion, then you're going to manifest or bring negative things into your life. So we need to focus on the positive. Or if you were to tell me you're not feeling, I'm really down, I'm like, hey, come on, like it's all about your positive outlook. Get a positive outlook and kind of trying to move past is this ringing a bell? Maybe we're using different words, but have you kind of felt this, and especially internet culture, this vibe?
No, but I mean, I hear what you're saying, and it makes sense to me that that's something that is being, perpetrated in social media and the internet, but it's not real life, right? And the social media is not real life most of the time. And I think it really is devaluing because a lot of people are struggling. And to say, no, you're not allowed to be depressed. No, you're not allowed to feel sad or angry. That's not helpful. That's not helpful. That's not how someone is going to get from being depressed and being overwhelmed and being anxious to, having a more fulfilling life.
How come? Because some people might be thinking, okay, go for it. You don't need me to clarify.
No, go. Say what you want to say.
Some people might be thinking, yeah, but if my friend is down or I am depressed, I want to feel happy. So why can't I just go there? Maybe that is all I need to do is just cut out negativity from my life, cut out negative feelings, and just be positive all the time. Why are you saying it doesn't work like that?
Because it's just not realistic. And I think when people are struggling and they're having a hard time, they need to feel validated. And for you to say there's no reason for you to feel depressed. Look at all these things you have, or all this, all these things you've accomplished. That just makes the person feel like, what? You think I'm lying? You think I'm making this up? Like, who wants to make up being depressed? And I've been there, especially in my grief and after my divorce. No, being able to not get out of bed. That's not something I would wish on anyone. So it takes a piece out of the puzzle. Yes, you can have a positive outlook, but I think we need to acknowledge what you're going through and then say, okay, now what are the coping skills we can use? What are the techniques that we can use to help you overcome, right? And not stay stuck. But that can't happen if you're just saying, no, you don't feel depressed, because there's too much goodness in the world. Depression doesn't have anything to do with there not being goodness in the world, right? I'm not sure if I articulated what I was trying to say well, but I tried.
Do you want me to run it back what I heard? Would that be helpful?
Sure.
What I was hearing is that I think validation's huge. And so if I was to share with you, this is what I'm going through, and it was immediately to be, hey, you need to focus on the positive. It's very dismissive.
Right.
It's really not the empathy, especially when we bring into it privilege, power, structural situations.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
and I think that, I shared on that podcast, Glennon Doyle talking about how we kind of feel like, she talks about how we think happy feelings are for feelings and pain is for getting away from. And that pain is also feelings you should feel because there is a message there.
Yes, there's something to teach you.
Yes.
So
if you just skip that, then, and I think it comes back to your word resilience. You're not going to have the resilience if you can't sit in the pain.
Right.
That's what I was hearing you say.
Yeah. And life is full of disappointments and life is full of losses, and so cultivating that resilience in yourself and in your relationship so that you have support is paramount to being able to get through life. Yeah.
Boom. What do you want people to go deeper on?
What came to my mind is, all the conversations that have been happening, especially in the last year, about racism and white supremacy and systematic racism. I feel like, there was a moment where a lot of people who didn't have any awareness of that were like, oh my God, I didn't know this was happening. Now I want to support Black people. And now I want to do X, Y, and Z. And now that moment is fading. And now because things are coming back to normal, quote unquote, it's like, yeah, well, that's not the reason why. Or yeah, it's not as much as you're making it out to be. And we as Black people, we've been dealing with these things for years, same kind of, I think I've been seeing like the same kind of reactions to, the apartheid in Israel of the Palestinians. I've been seeing those same kind of reactions. I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know this was so bad. I didn't know so many children were being killed. This has been going on for 75 years, right? So I would really love for people to go deeper in terms of paying attention, educating themselves about their privilege, and after they realizing that education is a process. It's not like you're going to read one article or one book and be educated about your privilege, but then trying to figure out next steps. What can I do to help make this world a better place for other people? And in turn, the world is a better place for you, right? When we're helping other people, ultimately, we're helping ourselves. That's what I truly believe.
I mean, I like that. I resonate with that. And it's so glaringly obvious because there was such performance last year of like the kind of like, I have a Black friend that all of these.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, and
worse.
Crickets, it's such a contrast.
Yeah.
What comes up for you just seeing that contrast of, because I know in the podcast world, you hear from a lot of Black thought leaders, their inboxes were flooded. Can I come on your podcast? Can I come on your podcast? And then everybody the white podcast seemed to do their like performative, I had a Black guest, and then it's just back to all white guys. You know what I mean? So just curious what your thoughts are. I'm not sure if you experienced that in the fitness industry or the social work industry. What for you kind of comes up?
Well, it's interesting. So with fitness, one of the companies that I'm certified to teach, one of their brand, Les Mills, they really made, and they're not in the US, they're in New Zealand, right? But it's a worldwide global brand. They really made a commitment to increase diversity at all levels in their organization. But the one that stands out the most for most people is, they train thousands of instructors all over the world, right? And then those instructors go out and teach classes. And as instructors, we get these videos to learn the choreography, right? And in those videos, there was very little diversity. So that's one of the places that they made a point to increase diversity. So now in all their marketing materials, there's more than one Black person. People of color are at the forefront. So I think that says a lot to other people looking at the brand. And then they've also had like discussion groups for larger instructors, for Black instructors, LGBTQIA instructors. I'm not sure if I said that last part right. The A is I'm not sure if that was right. Aging instructors, and so I feel like they've really stayed committed to it. A year later, they're continuing on with that. And with my job, I work for the county, and there's been a continued commitment that they've made an anti-racism community, and they've really centered anti-racism towards Black people at it. And it's interesting. I felt like, I wonder if they get a lot of pushback about that, because there's a lot of diversity in my department. It's thousands of employees across the country, but they've stayed firm in saying that if we address racism towards Black people in LA County, we're actually addressing racism towards everyone else in LA County. So that's where we need to start. So that's been, and my department head is a white man. But he has also, I've noticed also that there's been more people of color, especially Black people, coming into the upper echelons of our administration. So that's encouraging to see.
Yeah, that's great. Much less dismal than the industry I'm in. So that's uplifting.
Which one, though? I feel like you're in more than one industry.
Well, marketing, course creators, coaches, podcasters, definitely those folks were like last year, very performative. I have a Black friend, and now it's back to business as usual. Mm-hmm. I just hang out with my white friends. So that's, I know we're running out of time, so I want to ask this question. I'm seeing such a parallel between the two things that you shared of us talking about people needing to embrace the discomfort, the pain, to walk through the struggle instead of trying to skip through it. Mm-hmm. And I see that in what you're saying now of especially, us as white folks or anyone who has privilege wanting to escape the discomfort of the work. Are you feeling that connection too?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it's because I'm a social worker that I get comfortable in the discomfort, because I know that that's the only way to get to progress. As in my career as a social worker, I've worked with children's services, I've worked with probation, mental health in general, and you have to be able to address conflict. That doesn't mean I'm yelling and screaming at people every day. That means that I'm saying, hello, here's the pink elephant in the room, and we got to talk about it. Otherwise, it's going to stomp on us, and we're not going to get anywhere. Okay, so what does this elephant need so that, it can go on and be out in the jungle and you guys can move on with your lives? It's a weird analogy.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you nailed it. That could be, my gift. If I could give people one gift, it'd be to be able to have the ability to work through uncomfortable conversations in their life, in their work, in their relationships with themselves, as a society, as structures of power. That would just clear up so much stuff for so many people. Yeah. So you nailed it. I mean, it's an elephant in the room. And how do we, instead of ignoring it, when you talk about it, it actually makes the elephant, or makes it shrink. That's what I was hearing you say.
Right.
So shame, secrecy, That kind of
Oh my
stuff makes it
gosh.
grow.
Shame. That's, I don't want to get too personal, but shame, that definitely resonates with me. That's one of the things that keeps you down, you know, and we
Agreed.
learn about it from such an early age, I think, that it's sometimes you need help to realize what it is, you know? Yeah.
I know I did.
Yeah, me too.
Mm,
And I'm still learning.
yep.
At 40, I'm still learning, how that has impacted me in different areas. Yeah.
Mm. What are you grateful for?
Oh my gosh. It's going to sound so corny, but I'm so grateful for everything. I feel like I have a personal relationship with God, and I literally talk to God all day long. And no, I'm not schizophrenic, I promise. But I literally talk to God all day long. Like if I'm leaving the house and then I remember, oh, I need to take this with me. I'm like, thanks a lot. Thanks for reminding me about that, or praying when I get in the car to start a journey. Just I talk to God all day long. And so I'm so grateful and aware that everything I have comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, comes from my higher power. I'm grateful for this body being able to move and inspire and motivate other people to move and take better care of themselves. I'm grateful for my brain and believing in myself. I'm grateful for so many things. My family, just everything in life is an opportunity to be grateful. And Allah says, if you are grateful, then I will give you more. And that is like such a core belief for me. I was actually just the other day, Tom, I told you I have this new t-shirt business. And I was making a new shirt about gratitude just like yesterday.
I love that. The synchronicity.
Yes. Yes.
Where can folks get at you and tell you how awesome you are and learn more about what you're doing, your workouts, your t-shirts, all of it?
Yeah, so you don't have to tell me how awesome you are. You could just buy how awesome you think I am. You can buy a shirt and that would say that. So my t-shirt store is at shop.the number 722, the word sweat. So 722 sweat. Movement is spelled mvmt.com. And then for information about the live virtual fitness classes that I teach and the memberships that I offer with that, it's just 722 Sweat Movement, MVMT for movement.com. So the t-shirt store is shop.722 Sweat Movement, and the other one is just the regular website. And then I'm on Instagram at Turbo Sumiyah, SUM as in Mary, IYAH.
And don't worry, folks, we'll have all of that in the show notes. So we got you covered there.
I'm finally on Instagram, Tom.
I'm so happy.
I have to find you on Instagram.
We'll do it. What is your invitation to those who are listening? What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to consider, to think about? What's your invitation?
I want to invite people to be gentle to themselves. And that doesn't mean like if you're, a not nice person ruining people's lives every day that you're like, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I can do that. No, that's not what it means. It means be gentle to yourself. I feel like there's so many people, there's so many ways that the world can get you down, and you don't need to add your name to the list of people trying to get you down. You don't need to do that to yourself. So one of the ways I'm gentle to myself is I try to take a lot of time for self-care. And for me, actually teaching my fitness classes is a form of self-care. Therapy when I need it, getting massages, calling a friend, meeting for lunch, which now, I'm starting to feel better about doing now that I'm vaccinated. There's just so many ways that you can practice self-care. You could be, canceling something that's not super important and rescheduling it just to take time to relax for yourself, Yeah, that would be what I would invite people for. Be gentle to yourself and take good care of yourself because no one else is going to do it.
I mean, I love that. And how would you describe the conversation we had in 1 or 2 words?
Fun. I always enjoy talking to you, Tom.
I appreciate that. Same here. The time flies. I'm always like, slow down, time. Slow down.
That's why I had to tell you beforehand. I have to by this time because I feel like when we get together, we could just talk forever.
That's why we're going to have you back.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Sumiyah. I pray that Allah continues to guide you, bless you, protect you, and shower you with blessings. You are such a gift, and we appreciate you.
Exactly.
Wa yakum. All right, my friend. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.
Bye. All right. We have our next guest. It is June 21st, the day after Father's Day, and I am joined by Moses Weir. How's it going, Moses?
It's going well. I'm glad to see you. How you doing?
Doing well. Always great getting a chance to connect. So for the folks out there who maybe haven't heard you on past episodes, how would you describe yourself in 6 words?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been thinking about in 6 words, and I work with youth. And so we always ask, what are some qualities? So I thought of some. I realized that was a lot more than 6 words, but here we go. I'm going to say kind, caring, fun, playful, empathetic. I pause there. And last is father, which is a huge word that I certainly use to describe myself now.
It looks like you spent a bit of time thinking about those, being intentional with those. So where did they come from for you?
So I'm a social worker at a middle school, and I've worked with middle school and high school students for a long time. And one thing I often ask them are, what are some qualities about yourself that you love? What are some qualities that you see in yourself? And sometimes we talk about mentors or people they look up to, whether they know them or not. Meaning it could be famous figures, artists, activists, athletes, politicians. It could be family members. It could be people they know. And they'll describe themselves in a few words. And this person is, caring and loving and this. And it's always, do you see any of those similarities in yourself? And when I ask for qualities from middle schoolers and high schoolers, it's often like, what are you talking about? So on my wall, on my whiteboard in my office, I have a list of probably 40, 50 qualities. So it's easier for them to see and look through and say, oh yeah, I am athletic. I am fun. I am caring. I am loving. So it's something that we work with a lot. And those are ones that I've been thinking of and wanted to share.
Yes, but why those?
Why those ones?
Yeah.
That's where I see myself. I mean,
okay.
I can give stories, but I try to live my life and be with those I love in a way in which that comes through, right? A way in which I can be empathetic and be with them and sit with them and listen to them without needing to respond, but be with them, right? Show kindness through genuine care, right? Show kindness through questions, show kindness through being willing to go deeper, right? Go deeper into what you're talking about. Being willing to sit with discomfort. And father, and another one is father. I'm a new father. I've got a baby who is about 20 months old and has just been the most incredible 20 months for me to watch her be and grow and crawl into walking, into running, into playing, not talking, into, what's it called? Blabbering. I forgot the word. Into cooing, into now putting some words together. And it's just now everything I do, I think of her and I try to do for her and ways that would make her proud. So those are why I chose some of those words. And that's why I thought of it with some intentionality around it, because I'm always asking my kids. And one thing I say is I don't want to ask them to do something I wouldn't do. And so had some thought around it. And those are some I came up with.
I love it. Glad we had you go deeper. Speaking of deeper, where are you going deeper in your life?
Yeah, it's a good question. This is something I was thinking about a lot, right? And my first thought was push it away and reject it. Right? What do you mean? What are you talking about? And I just sat with it for a little bit. And one thing I'm coming back to is relationship, right? Always. How do we get deeper in relationship? What does it mean to sit with someone? What does it mean to disagree with someone and sit with them? What does it mean to put up boundaries? And sometimes disagreements can actually be unsafe, right? What does that look like? What does it look like to really dive deeper in relationship? Get to know somebody better. Get to know someone's story better. Get to know someone's why. And that's something you've talked about a lot, right? And it's been ongoing for years for you is what's your why? And I know yearly you do, this is my year of whatever it is for the year. And it seems to be a driving why for the year for you. And I think getting to be and go deeper in relationships with people is valuable, is important. And I think it's something we ought to do more of, especially as we're seeing so much divisiveness in our communities, in our countries. And to be clear, when I'm talking about diving deeper in relationship, I'm not talking about engaging with someone who's just said something incredibly racist, hurtful, sexist, homophobic, harmful. I'm not talking about, let's sit there. That might not be safe. I'm not talking about that. But outside of that, what are ways, if we disagree with something, how can we have a conversation if it's a safe thing to do?
What are some of the answers you've come up with in those reflections? You gave a lot of hows. How do we do this? How do we do that? What are some, and going deeper in relationships, what are some reflections you have on those questions you started asking?
I should have known you were going there. I was thinking, I was reflecting, I was like, all your questions I've answered through questions. And I didn't expect you to make me answer my questions. But how do I do it? Through questions. Right? That's exactly. How do we do it? Through questions? I don't know. I don't know how to do it. How do you do it? How does this person do it? I don't know. I don't have the answers. But one thing I will do is I think one way to do that is ask questions. I think the better questions we ask, the deeper we can dive into a relationship. And it's a skill. And being willing to listen to their answer for their answer, not for your response, right? And I think practicing listening is an underutilized, underappreciated, undervalued skill. And it's not taught, right? Listening is not something that I've ever heard taught in my middle school, yet it is something that it's a skill that we need. So was that enough of an answer?
Where is your comfort level in asking the questions or in answering?
Are you saying is my comfort level in asking or is my comfort level in answering?
Yeah, where are you most comfortable?
I think both, depending on the role. But I would say answering because I'm better at it, because that's what, I don't know if I'm good at it, but that's what I've practiced most of my life, right? I've practiced being able to talk. You know, I come from a family and we all talk and none of us listen except my mom. But we have a family of my two brothers, my dad, and my mom. That's the core unit of our family that I grew up with. And all the men just talk. And the louder we can talk, that's how it goes. So we came from a family of talkers and very few listeners. And so it's more comfortable and natural for me to talk.
The reason I ask is I think sometimes as facilitators, we can get used to, because it's our craft, such an emphasis on the asking of the question. And there can become a comfort level in it. So how do we, as folks whose job it is to ask questions and to be in control of the depth that people go to, you know what I mean? Or like there's an element of control there when the tables are turned, like right now, you're being asked the questions and you're giving me some questions back in a facilitatory way, but still deep. I'm enjoying it. But how do we, because it's something I wonder myself, you know what I mean? How do we find balance on the other end of stepping out of our comfort zone and exploring answers?
It's a good question. I don't think I have an answer to it right now. It's a really good question. I think first of all is, and I've actually been in a few situations where people have been like, Moses, you're not actually saying anything. You're answering questions. You're just asking questions rather. So I don't know how. It's something I need to practice too. Is that depth and vulnerability of answering the question is, I don't know. That's a good question.
What do you want people to go deeper on?
So I'm trying to think of because my initial thought is relationship is listening in relationship. I think seeing the work play out and how I have, and I live in Portland, Oregon, and I've done youth work since I've been here. We're quick, and when I say we, I'm certainly including myself, to write people off for a number of different reasons, and sometimes we should, and sometimes we shouldn't. But I think being able to, we want people to go deeper on just the curiosity of each other as a community, as a people. Go deeper in listening. Go deeper in challenging each other and ourselves to listen to what is being said, to listen to what is not being said. Oftentimes I'll say something and my partner can say, "Oh, you just said da da da," and I said, "I did not say that. That's what you heard," right? For example, I would say, she'll make dinner and she'll make, let's say, chicken and broccoli, and I'll say, "Oh, I love the broccoli." "Oh, you don't like my chicken?" "Well, I didn't say that. I said I love the broccoli," right? And so stuff like that comes up. That's just the first example I can kind of think of. But stuff like that has happened. I said, "What did I actually say?" And you better believe she does the same for me. Most, I didn't say that, right? So I think going deeper into listening, what's being said, what's not being said, going deeper into diving into relationship.
And the way you're using the word relationship, what are some other synonyms or descriptors, or how do we take relationships from being a buzzword? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
personalize it for us a little bit for you.
Yeah. For me, it's connection and depth, right? And so you and I, we have a relationship and we've known each other for, 10 years or something. And we don't talk often, but when we do, there's depth to it, right? There's meaning to it. And sometimes you can talk with folks every day, and that's fine too. And we go into depth at different comfort levels with different people. But when I think of relationship, I think of the connection built, however that connection is, with friends, with peers, with coworkers, family, loved ones, platonic relationships, romantic relationships. And it looks different with all of those kind of categories, right? But I think that connection and depth is valuable, important, and it's a challenge, and it's something that I would certainly challenge myself to do and challenge us to do.
Even before the pandemic, there was lots of research out there that we are in a loneliness epidemic. So this is clearly, connection is something, this is even before, now it's just become exacerbated. So connection is clearly something people are struggling with. So let's say someone's listening to this that is feeling that loneliness, is feeling that they're missing the connection at any level of depth.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts for that person?
So I got to be honest, when you're asked that, it filters through my head through youth work, because that's what I do. Right. So I'm thinking, like, if a middle school or high schooler is listening to this, that's just where my mind goes, because that's the work I've done. It's true for all of us, but I've seen the more connected we get, the more disconnected we get. The more connected we get to social media, the more connected we get to things, phones, electronics, the more disconnected we get to each other. And I've seen a rise in the youth that I've worked with in feelings of depression, feelings of isolation, feelings of loneliness, feelings of disconnection, while they're constantly connected, and I'm doing air quotes for those that can't see, constantly are connected to social media. And I believe that's driving a huge sense of isolation and disconnection. And so I would challenge all of us, myself included. I actually just got rid of my Instagram because I realized I said I was a father, and I would be with my baby and I'd be on my phone, just scrolling through Instagram mindlessly. And at a point of like, what am I doing and why? Why am I I'm just wasting so much time. It's adding no value to my life. And my daughter's growing up and I'm on my phone, looking at Instagram and refreshing to see what pops up on ESPN for the 7th time today. And so trying to step away from that to be with people. And it's a challenge for me. It is not easy for me. Luckily, I've got a partner who will talk to me about it, who will challenge me about it, who will tell me to put my phone down. It's become second nature for so many of us, myself absolutely included, of grab your phone. So my challenge, I suppose, to those listening, and certainly to myself, how do we put the phones down? right? That's a question. My challenge is put the phones down, right? My challenge is get off of social media for myself. My challenge is sit in the discomfort of meeting someone new. Sit in the discomfort and awkwardness of engaging face to face with people that we disagree with. That's okay. That's good. That's healthy. That's connection, right? And I think that's what we need. And again, to be very clear, I'm not saying if it's not a safe situation, do not sit in it. I'm saying if it's uncomfortable, right? And to your point, Tom, this is something that's been known forever because it's a tactic used in prisons and has been essentially since the inception of prisons is solitary confinement. We know that can break someone down, is put them in a room by themselves. We know isolating people can let them down. And I know you read and have recommended Brene Brown to me a lot, right? But talks about that we're wired for human connection. And we know that. And the more we're on our phones, the less human connection we actually get, the more social media connection we get, which is fun and can fire all kinds of stuff in our brain. And I had a supervisor who told me every time you check, getting that little red dot saying you have a notification is similar to winning the lottery. And it's gone immediately. And so my invitation to those listening, to myself certainly, is put the phone down, be with people, sit in the safe discomfort, but push yourselves.
Well, it's funny you bring up Brene because what I was thinking is when she interviews people on what is vulnerability, reaching out to not even just somebody you don't know, but even reaching out to somebody you do know and asking, how are you doing, is vulnerability. And vulnerability is by definition uncomfortable.
That's right.
So it's making me think, it's uncomfortable to reach out to somebody and ask them how they're doing, as strange as it might sound. So I resonate with that.
Yeah.
Well said, Moses.
Thanks.
What are you grateful for?
Oh, my family. I'm grateful for so much. This past year has been so difficult. I'm in Portland. I have, like I said, a 20-month old. We also have had, we call her a teen daughter who has been living with us all year. She graduated from high school, and just watching her grow has been just amazing. And there's been a lot of loss in Portland. There's been a lot of kids that have been killed. There's been so much violence and gunfire this year. And so seeing that on top of a pandemic that have taken people's jobs, livelihoods, safety, on top of the racism that's been seen, felt, experienced on behalf of so many different identities and folks. And let's just go straight into, obviously, the fight for Black Lives Matter. All the innocent folks, men, women, gender non-binary, non-conforming, Black folks that have been killed by police, seeing that come through our TVs and in our homes has been tough. And I say that to say what I'm grateful for is knowing that through this pandemic, I've got a family, and we've been doing well. We've been holding each other tight. We've been having conversations. We've been safe, thank God. We've been maintaining, we've been lucky both being employed. We've been lucky to have food on the table. We've been lucky to have our health. And so to have our baby, to watch her grow, I've been feeling in the face of a lot of just crap that's happening. So grateful looking internal and reflecting on what we have here at home. It's been really, really nice. And I'm grateful that my family back in LA is safe and healthy, happy. And so there's just so much that I'm just feeling so grateful for. I'm grateful to have watched our teen daughter graduate and walk across the stage in a difficult 4 years. I cannot imagine getting through high school in a pandemic. And she did it. So just grateful to be with her and to watch my baby be raised with her. Grateful to be with my partner. grateful to watch I mean, there's just and I keep coming back to family health, safety, happiness. I'm so grateful. And it just hits hard, really hard now with all that's going on outside.
Thank you, Moses. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
What's your invitation to those who are listening? What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to consider, to think about, to evolve into? What's your invitation?
I mean, I think that's the invitation is to drop the phones. The invitation is to send that uncomfortable text asking how people are doing. The invitation is to be vulnerable, honest about how we're doing with the people that we care about, that we feel like are asking honestly how we're doing. I invite us to connect. I invite us to be in relationship. I invite us to sit in discomfort. And I'm saying us because saying it out loud, these are my invitations for myself also. So I do mean us. That's the invitation that I want to offer.
And how would you describe this conversation in one word?
Uncomfortable.
I love it. It's a theme. One of the other people that I've already interviewed so far, that was a theme too. Resiliency, difficult conversations. So that's in the ethos. So I appreciate you for coming here, for naming it, for being my friend. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Good to see you. Good to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too. And to all of those listening, we appreciate you listening to Moses. I know you don't have an Instagram anymore, so if people wanted to share their appreciation with you or to follow up with you, where can they do so?
It's a good question. Let's see. I mean, you can email me. My email is mosesweir11@gmail.com. So MOSESWEIR, the number 11 at gmail.com.
There we go. All right. We appreciate you, Moses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Deeper Gratitude. I hope you appreciated getting to learn where my guests are going deeper, their invitation to you on where they'd like to see you go deeper. And I hope it had offered some insights into what people are doing emotionally to fuel this important work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this series. Please reach out to me at Tom Earl Artist, tom@tomearl.com, or if you'd like to go deeper in your marketing and your Facebook or Instagram ads, you can find a ton of free resources by going to tomearl.me/ads, tomearl.me/ads. Please reach out to my guests from this week. Let them know how much you appreciate them, support their work. It has truly been an honor having you share your greatest gifts with us, your time and energy. And I look forward to you joining us next week. As always, I'm wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.